How's it going, everybody? This is S3Tide coming at you with another week for college football recap. To start off with, I didn't watch college football much this weekend. I probably had the worst weekend of my life. I don't want to get into detail, but just wasn't a great Saturday, wasn't a great weekend. So I didn't get to watch that many games. I didn't even watch. I watched the Alabama game, but I just couldn't pay attention because I just had too much in my mind. So I'm not gonna have much analysis of the games. And on another note, this is gonna probably be the busiest week of my life. This is gonna be homecoming week, and I have something to do every day, and plus have to write like 2 papers. So I'm gonna try to do this video and the prediction video today, and get those out of the way. And I probably won't have another video up for the rest of the week. So I just want to apologize about that. So I'm gonna go ahead and start on the games. Thursday we had Cincinnati and North Carolina State. Cincinnati won 44-14 over North Carolina State. Zach Caleros played at home. He's probably one of the better quarterbacks that you don't know of. Under Butch Jones's offense, who coached Central Michigan a few years ago when Dan, I can't remember his last name, Dan, the guy that plays for Central Michigan, the great quarterback, that was his head coach and had a great offense, and that's the same offense that Cincinnati runs. So they'll be great as long as, well, not necessarily great, but their offense is going to be great as long as Butch Jones is the head coach there. Friday we had BYU and UCF, Central Florida. BYU won 24-17. I predicted Central Florida to pull the upset, and they didn't. But it was close. BYU, Jake Heaps is a pretty good quarterback. Bronco Mendenhall is always going to have a great defense. UCF has that great quarterback, Jeff Gottfried. I'm sorry if I messed up on the name, but he's a great quarterback, can scramble. But UCF did not win, and they lost 24-17. Moving on to the Saturday games. First of all, we have number 22 Michigan and San Diego State. I predicted San Diego State to pull the upset. They didn't. Ryan Lindley, he's a great quarterback, but he just didn't have that great of a game. Michigan's defense has improved a lot over the past year under the head coach Brady Hoke. This was Brady Hoke's first game against his former team, which is San Diego State. He used to be the head coach at Ball State when Nate Davis was the quarterback. I don't even know if Nate Davis plays anymore for the NFL. I think he was drafted by the 49ers, but I have no clue where he went from there. But Denard Robinson had a great game. Not so much passing, but rushing. He had like 200 yards, I believe. He's going to be there in the Heisman contention at the end of the year because he is Michigan's offense. Next game, Georgia Tech and North Carolina. I can't remember who I predicted for this game. Georgia Tech had a bunch of yards on the ground. Also had a few passes, which is kind of rare for their offense. The triple option. North Carolina's filled with athletes, but they just couldn't pull the victory. Georgia Tech won 35-28 over North Carolina. Next game, Notre Dame and Pittsburgh, 15-12. This was a slugfest, a defensive held game. Both defenses played tough, but Notre Dame just came out with the victory. I think Pittsburgh had the lead for most of the game, but Notre Dame came back and won. Next game, we have Georgia and Ole Miss. Georgia beat Ole Miss 27-13. Ole Miss just couldn't get anything going on offense. They had a bunch of turnovers. They had to switch quarterbacks, I believe. But Georgia, they just kept running the ball with Isaiah Crowe at running back, and they pulled out the victory 27-13. This next game came to a surprise to the whole country. Temple and Maryland. Temple just smashed Maryland 38-7. Maryland's been actually having a pretty good season this year. They beat Miami. And I can't remember, but I think they might have been undefeated. Let me check real fast. I'm pretty sure Maryland was undefeated coming into this game. Actually, no, they weren't. They lost. They were 1-2, but they did beat Miami, and Miami beat Ohio State, so Maryland wasn't that bad of a team, and they're predicted to blow out Temple. But Temple won 38-7. They had their running back, I can't think of his name, but I think he had the most running yards for Temple in a single game record. And that's pretty good, knowing they had Bill Cosby at running back at one time. If you didn't know that, Bill Cosby was the running back for Temple back in the 1800s. Next game, let's see here. Alabama and Arkansas. I was going to do a preview of this game, but I uploaded it and people said I said a lot, so I'm trying to fix that. But I had a friend over and that kind of had me off track. It's kind of awkward talking to a microphone when your friend's in the room with you trying to talk as well. But Alabama, A.J. McCarron had a great game. He threw a lot of dump-off passes to Trent Richardson, and he ran for a lot. But when you got a guy like Trent Richardson and you have great receivers on the outside and two great running backs in Richardson and Eddie Lacy, and this is your first year not running back at quarterback, you just want to spread the wealth and just get the ball to your talented players and let them do the work and just try your best to manage the game and not lose the game. And that's what A.J. did. I think he's pretty much on par with how Greg McElroy was his first year as quarterback. And we all know Greg McElroy's first year at quarterback, everybody had the question mark around him, and he led Alabama to a national championship that year. So I hope that comes out. Hope that turns out the same way, but I really don't think it is. But, I hope so. But Alabama won 38-14. And nobody in ESPN didn't talk about that too much. I mean, Arkansas is ranked 14th in the country, and LSU had all this hype because they beat West Virginia 41-20. But West Virginia is just about as good as Arkansas. I mean, they're two completely different teams, but it'd be a good game between Arkansas and LSU. I mean, Arkansas and not LSU, West Virginia. But Alabama, who cares? Maybe LSU's going to have too much pressure. And actually, that's probably going to be a good thing for Alabama, not having all that hype around them. I mean, they do have hype, but not as much as LSU's being hyped there right now. And I'm going to that game, LSU and Alabama. So that's going to be crazy. Next game, Oklahoma State 30, Texas A&M 29. I think I predicted Oklahoma State to win this game. They had probably the best quarterback wide receiver duo in the country in Justin Blackman and Brandon Weeden. Oklahoma State was trailing for most of the game. I believe they were down by 2 touchdowns. And they came roaring back and ended up winning. It was a pretty close game at the end. They should have actually won by more, but Justin Blackman failed and he dropped the ball going into the end zone. I don't even know how that happened. I didn't see that happen live, but I heard a bunch of stuff about it and saw the replay. But that was kind of a bonehead move for the former Biletnikoff winner. But they did pull out the victory, 30-29. And that keeps their Big 12 and national championship hopes alive. Next game, Clemson 35, Florida 30. I believe I predicted this game. This game was in Death Valley. That's probably the main reason I predicted it. And the health of E.J. Manuel was a big question mark leading to the game. He didn't start. Clint Trickett, the second stringer, start. He's a small guy. His arms are about as big as mine. He ended up playing last week against Oklahoma, and he didn't do too bad of a job. He threw that insane touchdown pass. I can't believe the guy caught it. Talking about last week against Oklahoma State, but not Oklahoma State, Oklahoma. They ended up losing. But Clint Trickett's not too bad of a quarterback, but they didn't win this game. Taj Boyd had another great game. He had a great game last week against Auburn. He's going to be a special guy for the Clemson Tigers. If he keeps playing like this, don't be surprised to hear his name in the Heisman talks at the end of the year. Moving on, we have... Let's see here. Illinois and Western Michigan. I don't know anything about this game, but I just know Illinois is undefeated and they almost lost apparently. It was a close game. Illinois is still undefeated, so who knows what's gonna happen there. Next game, UCLA, Oregon State. UCLA won 27-19. Oregon State's having a terrible year. They lost the first game to Portland State, and they got beat by Wisconsin 35-0. So Oregon State did play them close, but UCLA's not too great themselves. So moving on, my team, South Alabama and Kent State. South Alabama played them close. Kent State ended up winning 33-25. South Alabama played probably the worst half of their program history. They came roaring back in the very end. They came to a one-possession game. I'm proud of them. They'll just feed off from this, but they did lose 25-33 against Kent State. Moving on. South Carolina and Vanderbilt. At the beginning of the game, Vanderbilt had all the momentum. They They were winning 3-0. They just couldn't score. Vanderbilt's offense is just pathetic. Larry Smith, he's a scrambler. He just makes some stupid decisions. They had all the momentum, and then they got an interception, and then Larry Smith fumbled it, and they brought it back for a touchdown, and it all went bad from there. And so South Carolina pulled up the victory, 21-3. Florida and Kentucky, not too much to say about this game. Florida won 48-10. Kentucky's terrible this year. So, yeah. Moving on. Auburn, Florida Atlantic. Florida Atlantic had 20 first downs this game. Last week against Michigan State, they had 1. They had 40 yards of offense against Michigan State. That gives you an impression how bad Auburn's defense is. But Auburn did win. Not going to rag on them too much. They won 30-14 over Florida Atlantic. Moving on. Didn't know about this game. Indiana's terrible. They're in the Big Ten, but they're not gonna survive at all. They lost this week to North Texas 24-21, so that's kind of not good. Moving on, we have Mississippi State and Louisiana Tech. Mississippi State about lost their bowl hopes. They had to go into overtime to beat Louisiana Tech, but they did win 26-20. Moving on, we have, Texas Tech and Nevada. This is interesting. I didn't know about this. They only won 35-34. Nevada's not that great anymore with Colin Kaepernick's departure. He graduated. He's playing for the 49ers now. I think he's second string. Not too bad, but apparently Texas Tech about got beat. So that's what's interesting. Oklahoma and Missouri. Oklahoma's still number 1 in the country, 38-28 over Missouri. Missouri is winning for most of the game, but Oklahoma came roaring back and won 38-28. LSU 47, West Virginia 21. West Virginia had their opportunities. They had all the momentum going into the third quarter or fourth quarter. They were down by 1 possession. They scored a touchdown, was down by 6, and then LSU brought back the kickoff return for a touchdown, and it all went downhill from there. LSU won 47-21, but going into the fourth quarter, it was a lot closer than that. Let's see if that is it. Oh yeah, and I hate USC, and USC lost 43-22, so that made me happy. That is it, guys. I guess I'm gonna try to do the prediction video right after this. Sorry if this video sucked. I'm not having the best weekend of my life. Probably the worst weekend of my life. So on that note, I'm gonna go do the prediction video, and I'll see you guys later. My voice just cracked. Goodbye. Roll Tide.